All right. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the Draft Day Sports College Football 2021 Developer Dynasty here on our Wolverine Studios Twitch channel. Very excited to be with you this week, as this will be our final Developer Dynasty for the series as we prepare to launch the official version of the game toward the end of next week. So that means if you've been checking this Developer Dynasty out and you've been kind of on the fence, here's your last chance to ask questions, and it is your last chance to get to our web store at www.wolverinestudios.com and get your pre-order in. It'll be your last chance to do that, last chance to get the savings, last chance to get that free Steam key if you want it. So right after this stream, head over to that web store and you can grab the latest build. And for everybody else who has already joined up for first access, we thank you. And if you didn't see the messages on Facebook and Twitter, there is a new build in the forums that was just launched this afternoon. So go grab that after the stream as well, and you can start digging into some of the new stuff. As a special treat for you on our final stream here, we're joined by not only Brooks, but Asger as well. So, guys, say hello to your adoring fans out there.
Hey, adoring fans.
Hey, adoring fans.
So we've got double the brain power here. Normally, I don't count myself in that part at all. I'm just the guy who makes it look good. Brooks and Asger do all the heavy lifting here, and they'll be going over some of the latest additions to the game, as well as some explanations of some things. Before we start, as always, thank you to our follower list who continues to grow, including our newest follower. We're very honored to have Sonic the Hedgehog 06 as our newest follower. So we just need the first 5 Sonics in here, and we'll be good to go there. And of course, our subscribers, huge thank you to you for supporting the channel, your subscriptions, whether you're doing it financially out of your own pocket, or if you're subscribing free on Twitch Prime because you're linked to your Amazon Prime account. Either way, we appreciate the support, and it helps us out a little bit financially, and kind of encourages us to continue bringing new content to you all the time. Breeze is first in the chat tonight, and he asked, what did I miss? Breeze, you didn't miss anything but me talking for 3 minutes. So nothing new so far, but we're going to get right into it now. Again, if you have any questions, comments, things you want to talk about, maybe you're considering pre-ordering, but you have some questions, I can show you whatever you want to see, and you can ask questions with Brooks and Asger here. So first up, we've got the recruiting screen, and we've talked a lot about the stuff that we've done in recruiting this year, but one section we haven't really covered too much is what the outreach is about, and Asger really put in a lot of work on that. So let's turn it over to him, and Asger, why don't you tell us kind of how the outreach programs work here?
Right. So it's been a feature request for I would say generations by now, because people are so used to it from the basketball games, where you have this awesome feature where you can actually call the players and talk to them and ask them different questions, and they're used to it from other college games as well. So we finally reached the point where we were so comfortable with what we had that we could sort of expand on recruiting, which has also been like a request for several iterations of the game. So I went in and I built this outreach part of the recruiting. I think you need to go to the view recruits screen, and then actions in view summary. And so what we did was basically people were really interested in doing these sort of, you need to turn off outreach to enable it. Turn off delegate outreach. So people were really interested in just doing these sort of interactions with the players, in order for them to sort of get a better view and get an advantage and get some information, get some bonuses. And what we did was we added these 5 different actions where you can ask the players if you can come visit them in their home, and you can ask players if, I don't know how, you probably need to refresh the screen to sort of get out of the removal from the delegations somehow.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can go visit them in their home, and you can invite them to come watch a game with you, and you can call them, and you can attend one of their games. So you can do all these sort of different things with them to interact with them. And basically, what we did and what we usually do whenever we implement a new huge feature is that we take baby steps. So we don't want to throw in something that breaks the game, and suddenly you can just do one thing and then you're sure to get a recruit or something. So we took baby steps, and so each of these features that we do in Outreach, they give you some bonus recruiting points, and the two most important ones that are the home visit and asking them to come watch your game. They give some additional bonuses as well. And especially the home visit, because that gives you actually a free interview with the player. And usually you would spend scouting points on getting the interview, but by doing the home visit, you get the interview for free. Additionally, the home visit unlocks some extra information about the recruit. So on the recruiting page, you would usually you will see that there is a new field with the recruit opinions, and those opinions are actually sort of assessments about what the recruit thinks about different aspects of different games. So, for instance, or different teams that are recruiting him. For instance, the recruit might think that, well, he prefers actually to go to Clemson because it's closer, but he actually likes the prestige of Crimson Tide or Crimson Wave. And maybe he likes the prospect of getting playing time on Marshall or the Thundering Herd, right? So you get this additional information. Oh, there we go. You get this additional information by doing the home visits. That it was, to sort of make it attractive to spend these points and getting in the home visits on the ones that you're particularly interested in. The last thing I think that's probably interesting to say is that recruits can also get sort of tired by you pestering them. So if you call a recruit every week for several weeks and keep inviting him to games and keep showing up at his high school games, stuff like that, eventually they will think you're stalking them, and that will actually put them off you. We haven't put in a super strong penalty for this yet, but because we're trying to take baby steps and not break anything, and we can always tweak the parameters upwards if we feel that something needs to be more of a factor. And we would much rather do that than break someone's game. But if you pester them enough and just keep stalking them relentlessly, then they will tire of you. So this obviously works in addition to the talking points on the recruiting screen, and in addition to the normal recruiting points. So now we have sort of like these three different factors in the recruiting that matters, which is obviously the recruiting points first and foremost. They're the most important ones. But then you get the talking points that you can sort of tweak to get additional a minor additional bonus every week, and then we get the outreach points where you can sort of contact them. And finally, in relation to this, I should say that one of the reasons that we put in the social types, both for the college game and for the pro game, is that these social types also eventually will matter for this. So eventually, hopefully, we will get built in that you can actually do the kind of interviews that or talk with the players like you can in the basketball games. And the social types will help determine sort of how they respond to the different approaches that you give them. But that is still for future versions. We're just taking these sort of baby steps to keep adding more tweaks and twists to the whole thing.
I think
that a long enough rant?
I think that this is really a game changer in and how this game has evolved over the years. And I'm glad that you mentioned, the basketball game where this sort of generates from, because I think it really gives you kind of a more realistic feeling to, invite, players to the game or do the home visits. I mean, everybody who follows Michigan is sick and tired of the story of Jim Harbaugh going to have a sleepover at the kicker's house because he loved this kicker so much. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's part of real life, and it's doing all of this. Really, I talk about in the college basketball game that recruiting is almost like a game within the game, and I think that this edition has done that for college football as well. As it's really given you a whole lot more to do with recruiting, and of course, they've given you the options to delegate this stuff to the AI if you don't want to handle it. But I think for people who really love the details and really love the recruiting process, this gives you a whole new world, opened up in the game. Last year it was the talking points and stuff like that were added in to give more more depth into recruiting, and now this the addition of the outreach points, I think is just a fantastic addition.
And I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to talk about some of the other little tweaks we did on this screen. So there's confusion between when you delegate some of the actions that you can take on kids. One of the changes we put into this recent patch is that if you have auto delegate or delegate recruiting or scouting or outreach turned on, we hide all of the fields so that folks aren't thinking that they can do something that they can't do. Because if you delegate to your coaches and then you go in and change a bunch of stuff, when you run the week, the AI will take over and start making changes for you. And a lot of times it doesn't necessarily match up with what you're trying to do. So we tried to spell that out a little bit more. We added some help text in the upper right corner. We added a lot of help text underneath the question mark icon to explain what all of these different things on the screen are. So hopefully that helps a little bit, pointing people in the right direction on, how to work on this screen, how to, what everything means and how best to take advantage of things. And we try to do this on a lot of screens, and sometimes we either run out of time or forget to do it or whatever. But in this case, the screen's complicated enough that, I felt it was important to go ahead and put a few additional pieces of help on there. Some of the other fixes that we put in recently are things like showing the hometowns of the kids, the high schools. That was missing on some of the screens, so that should be in most places now. If you actually go to the recruiting preview screen for the kids, where it shows you their recruiting rank, we actually have broken out rank into rank by global, like number 1 overall, number 2 overall, or whatever. But we also have it broken into, the number 10 quarterback of the class, or the number 3 fullback out of Michigan or whatever. So we're trying to give more information about the recruits and just adding a little bit more fun stuff to these pages, so you could see the the stars in the high schools and their ranks and what their top schools are and stuff like that. So we've taken a lot of feedback from the forums and from our Slack channel and from our testers and our first access folks, and slowly but surely we're adding these things in just to take it over the top as best we can. Those are all recruiting related things that we've updated in this most recent build that I think we're posting today for everybody to enjoy.
Yep, and that's one thing that I always try to stress when we're doing these streams, stuff like that, is we ask for feedback from people, not because we just want to fill up the chat box, but what you ask for is what we try to do. We try to put these things into the game for you. We try to make adjustments. We try to like Brooks said, add the help boxes on certain screens and things like that for when you are going to when maybe something's confusing or something like that. So your feedback is extremely important to to what we're doing here, and making sure that we're developing the very best game that we possibly can. And I mean, I give my my hat is off, and full credit, full marks to Brooks and Asger for all the places that they are on the Slack channel and the forums, taking emails through our support channel. I mean, everything is being taken in and given consideration, and we can't do everything, obviously, but we're doing as much as we possibly can to to increase, to plus the game and make it what everybody's looking for.
Can I add quickly to that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So in addition to the Slack and the forums and the Discord channels and wherever we are, we also regularly I browse both Twitch and YouTube to look for people playing the game. So if you're playing the game, put up your video, not to be e-famous or not to get followers, but just because when I watch you play the game on YouTube or Twitch, I can see the trouble that you're having. I can see the things that you're not understanding. I can see you looking for the buttons. I can, and my toes are cuddling up or cringing up because I know where the button is, but you're not clicking it. And that is an immense amount of help for us as developers, just seeing users play the game on the screen, because it shows in a much more clear sense where we can improve things, and it shows very clearly where when you're sort of guessing, well, I guess this works in this way or that way, and it shows us what we can actually improve. So if you have anything of yourself playing the game, either stream it on the Twitch or put it up on YouTube, or stream it on Discord or whatever, and I will probably find it and watch it.
And absolutely, one thing about that too is if you're streaming, tag us on Twitter especially. That's the easiest place to do it, and we'll retweet it too. And if you are, trying to start a streaming channel, or get followers or things like that, we'll do our best to help you, by retweeting that you're going to play, or that you've posted a Let's Play on YouTube or something like that. So we will be happy to retweet people who are playing and showing off the game. And I apologize, my internet is a little bit slow here. It must be all the snow that we have and the ice. But
the internet is cluttering.
Yes, the internet is buffering just repeatedly here. Another thing that Brooks just added in is we had a request to do the awards like we do in the college and pro basketball games. So Brooks has done a cutscene for the awards. I think I have it muted so it won't go to the cutscene. But the awards will have a new screen and a new look to them. So I'll pull that up here. And rather than just seeing the little pop-up box, now we've got the the broadcast studio box picture with the award winners up here. You can see their pictures, see see what teams they played for, and see who the award winners were. So again, this is another suggestion that came from the community and said, hey, I like this in college basketball. Can we see this in college football? And that's really why it's so important for us to interact with you and get that information, because we can do things like this. Brooks went right to work on this, and we added this in the newest build.
Yeah, these kinds of things are a lot of fun to work on because they're good ideas. It adds a little bit of visual flair to the game. Anytime that we can get out of spreadsheets and into more graphic style layouts, it's fun. It makes for a better overall experience for everybody. It's fun for us to build, and I hope it's more enjoyable for you guys to play.
And I think seeing the faces of the players and the logos kind of faded in back there helps helps everybody again become more familiar with the players in their league, feel more invested with the league as a whole, gives you more immersion, stuff like that. So again, we're always looking to plus things like that, because there's the actual game itself, which is simulating a game of football, but we've got to build on that. We've got to build a game around that, and that's why it was so important for the new recruiting editions and a lot of the other things that people might call fluff. But it just brings your league alive. Brooks, was there anything else from today's update? I know there was a list of things. Anything else that we should cover here and let people know about?
Oh, not off the top of my head. I have to go back. It was a pretty big set of updates. A lot of it was from forum posts, just trying to read through, coming up with the different feedback elements that we saw. Updating some screens, adding more information, fixing missing information. We had a couple of really difficult crashes that we were dealing with that I hadn't been able to reproduce, and we were able to identify what was causing those and fix those. We fixed a bunch of verbiage updates. One of the interesting parts about the college game is that you can't go based on mascot, because there's just too many bulldogs and whatnot, and it confuses people when they read our news articles and things. So I spent a little bit of time going in and swapping around some of the messages to fix some of that. There were requests about adding top 25, rank up and rank down to various screens. There were, some things that we had done on some screens we hadn't done on other screens. So there was requests to go ahead and round that out. There's the ability to change the high schools. I think that was in there the last go around. But yeah, I mean, I think the only other major one that we did was we enabled the history tab on the recruit page. When you click on a recruit, you can view their history now, which will show a little bit more information about the history of recruiting on that particular kid. And there's some filters on there to help filter out information that may not be as important to you, at that stage of the game or whatever. But there are things like that we're trying to improve that recruit form a little bit more and get more information into the hands of the people playing the game.
I saw a couple of questions come through too in our chat box. Berserk62 says, will option wishbone offenses feature the fullback and make defense stop at first, which is the mainstay of this attack? Does this game have the logic in it? I'd like to try this old school offense.
Yeah, so wishbone is in there. And there is a bunch of wishbone plays. How it is approached by the logic during the game is mainly handled. So even if you're running a wishbone attack, if you fall behind, they will start passing, because that's how it's set up. Because you also then people fall behind by 28 points, and then half the channel, or half the forum will say, well, why didn't it start passing? And the other half will say, well, why didn't it continue running like I said it to? So that's like the oldest problem that we have, that some people wanted to sort of change their settings to adjust to the situation, and other people wanted to stay faithful to their settings regardless of the situation. So you can run a wishbone attack with wishbone, and there are option plays in the game. I may actually add a few more, since it seems there's been some chatter from, at least I remember Van der Man talked about it, wanting to do an option offense. So you can run the wishboning, you can run option offenses, but we can't do it in a way that will make them, make defenses stop it first, because the AI will sort of adjust to the situation. So if you fall behind, bigly, it will start passing, because you can't keep running it if you're behind, right? Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, the AI does target the person with the ball first. So if you're running the option or running a triple option out of a wishbone or whatever, the player who gets the ball is the one that will be targeted by the defense in a lot of cases. There's a lot of checks that we put in for intelligence of the defense, so they could recognize what the play is and whether or not there's going to be a pitch or if there's an option and potential other runners. So there is some logic in there that they could possibly switch to potential other ball carriers. But by default, they tend to, as long as they pass their intelligence checks, they will go for the person with the ball. And then GM Games Chris was asking about editing players in CF21. So there is import and export of players in college football. So it works very similar to the pro game, where you can go to the main league homepage and change the import and export drop down to export your players or import the players.
I think he's talking about the overall ratings settings, the tables for the overall calculation.
Yeah, the custom OVR is in college as well. It's there so that folks, if they import players that have drastically different ratings and the OVRs don't look the way that you want them to look, the game tends to target between 60 and 100 is what it's expecting for serviceable players. So if you import some players where the OVR is, you have too many 100s or not enough hundreds or whatever, not a good spread, you're able to go into the custom OVR section and adjust for that and make your OVRs look a little bit more balanced within the game. And yeah, Berserk is asking about the option. The game does it treats the triple option similar to the way it treats running quarterbacks, because it's really similar with the RPOs or whatever. There are kind of those things in the game, and again, the defensive logic is set up where in order for a really intelligent linebacker may recognize that who has the ball and go straight to them. Otherwise, they tend to follow along with the play, or they'll pause and wait until they see a play develop and things like that. So there's lots of actions the players can take, and it really just depends on how they pass their intelligence checks, their speed checks, and those kinds of things within the game. And obviously, we can't test every combination of ratings and playbooks and custom plays and all of those things. So if you're finding an offense that you think should work, or you think is the game is not reacting correctly to it, by all means, shoot us your league files or save them off somewhere or post on the forums, and we can definitely work with you guys to figure out where these things are falling short of expectations and where we can improve on them.
And along the lines of GM Games Chris' question about customizing players and stuff like that, if you're new to the game, there's a ton of stuff you can customize. There's this team config option down here, which I'll click on in just a second so you can see. But I wanted to just show the playoff bracket that shows an 8-team playoff. So if you want to customize your playoffs, there's different playoff options to choose from. If you don't think that the 4-team playoff is a very good system and you want an 8-team playoff, you can do that. There's ability to change all the logos, the player jerseys, the end zone logos. You can change everything about your team, the school name, the mascot, the type of stadium they play in, their stadium name, the weather model on here. I mean, there's so much that you can get into. And of course, the community has created mods for new people. You can check our forums where community members, create and post and share their mods with everybody. Our mod community is outstanding. The support we get, from the community in terms of these mods is just amazing, and they really plus the game for everybody else, who just wants to play, maybe with certain real team names or something like that. The community has stepped up and provided those mods for everybody. And they're all free on the forums. It's just people in the community making them and sharing them, and it's really important to us to to recognize those efforts and to thank the community members who do so much for us. And with that, that's going to bring this Developer Dynasty to a close. We've had a number of great streams for the Developer Dynasty here. I really appreciate Brooks and Asger taking the time out of their day, especially Asger, who's not on the same time zone as we are, so he's up late for this. So I appreciate that a lot to come in and explain the outreach stuff that got added in. And huge thank you to you for coming to these streams, for participating in the streams, for participating in First Access. If you want to get in on the First Access, you still got a couple of days to do it. Go to the website right now, wolverinestudios.com. You can pre-order today. You can start playing the latest build, which we just posted and has all these new additions in it. And you'll get a discount, and you'll get the opportunity to get a Steam key for yourself later on once it's launched on Steam, which the launch for Steam is supposed to be next Friday, as long as we get all approval set up there. So Friday will be the full launch for the game, both on Steam and at wolverinestudios.com. And at that point, it will be too late to pre-order and get your discounts. So do it now. If you want to wait, there will be a demo available on Friday, or as soon as we can launch the game, in its full state. So you'll be able to try a free demo then and see for yourself. If you want to hold on, that's perfectly okay. That's why we offer the free demo, because we want you to make sure that you are going to be happy with the game, satisfied with the game, that it can do what you're looking for. So if you're ready to go get that pre-order right now before it's too late. If you're waiting for the demo, it won't be much longer of a wait. So thank you everybody for this experience. It was fantastic doing the Developer Dynasties this year. We'll still have the college basketball one going on Tuesdays, and of course our DDS Pro Basketball 21 online league, the WSBA, that we're running on Wednesdays. So we'll still have plenty of Twitch content coming your way. Brooks, Asger, thank you so much. Anything you guys want to say before we go?
Yeah, thanks everybody. It's been fun. Guys. We're looking forward to a good release.
All right, thank you everybody for your help in bringing us to the end here and to release. So everybody have a great weekend. Get your pre-order if you haven't already, and get some college football back in your life, especially for all of us people who live in the snowy areas where it's just cold and dreary and we've got no hope for anything. But we have college football now with Draft Day Sports. College football